Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so let's start this video out with this. I just was listening, it was a Christian band, Adelaide, I was listening to again, and one of their songs was talking about to forgive and forget. So this is another, I would say, teaching or phrase that is really mistaught and misunderstood. So I made a video, I believe that's going to come out 2 or 3 nights before this one, that talks about forgiveness. See, the so here's what the assumption and the belief that is automatically put on this, and I do believe it's another narcissist trick that was attached to that forgive and forget, thousands of years ago to hurt us. And the assumption or the belief that's attached to that phrase is automatically, right now, just do it. I mean, this isn't some kind of Nike commercial or marketing program. So, alright, so I've been doing healing work for over 30 years now, and I'm trained in something called timeline therapy. I'm a master practitioner, certified master practitioner in timeline therapy. So here's what essentially happens. We bring you back on your timeline all the way back until we can find the initial memory of whatever emotion it is that you're carrying. Now, here's why. You want to find the very, very first one. Now, here's why. So, in psychology, Fritz Perls, Dr. Fritz Perls, he had essentially discovered that if you could, so you could do people with these memories, and it would be the same issue in every one of their it's the same issue in all these memories. It's like somebody's mean to me, or I feel shame, or I feel, so it's this, let's pick one and say it's the same issue. And you keep going back and dealing, it's like, well, yet the shame, it hasn't released. Like, what's going on? So he realized it's like a necklace of pearls. So if you can go all the way back to the very, very first memory, the very first inkling of when this issue or emotion began to start, if you can heal that one, then all of them will slide off like pearls on a necklace. Like you break the very end piece and they all slide off. Now, one of the things about timeline therapy is you begin to notice as you get older. So as you get 28 years, 25, 28, 30, 32, 35, all of a sudden, like when you were in high school or you were in middle school or kid or first, second, third year of college or, 20 years old, 21, you just kind of bounce back from everything that happens. Somebody hurts you, somebody cheats on you, somebody's mean to you, and you cry and you get over it and you go back to school, you go back to work, or, go to the gym, whatever, and you just kind of move on. But as you start to get older, this emotion becomes more prevalent. It starts to weigh on you. It seems to stand out more. Not only this one, but then other ones as well. So it seems like all of a sudden now you're 28 years old to 32, and all of a sudden like you've got issues. Now here's why. Because as you move forward in life, once you have that first initial incident, then more begin to build on to this pearl of necklaces. So now by the time you're 28, 30, 32, 34 years old, you've got a lot of pearls on this necklace, and it starts to weigh you down. So now what happens is the reason why you continually have these different negative, painful emotions around different issues is because of one reason and one reason only. And that's good news, okay? So here's what it is. The emotions, if you still have emotions around certain issues when certain people do things to you, it's because you haven't learned what you were supposed to learn from this experience. So the emotions are like a red flag saying, hey, come back. You're supposed to learn something here. And believe it or not, sometimes the learning is the most simple thing. It's just like, hey, my mom was just a really messed up person or was a really mean person, etc., etc. It had nothing to do with me. And sometimes it can literally be that easy. A lot of people think, oh, it's going to be some big complicated. Like, no, I'm telling you right now, 9 out of 10 times, it's just like, wow, it's a realization. And sometimes it's just a perspective shift. And usually that really is what the learning is about. It's seeing it from a different perspective. And this is why I repeat shifting perspective so much, because it's so important. Because all of a sudden you'll have it like, it's like you see it from a different angle. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that at the time. And then once you take on the learning, the emotions heal and poof, it's gone. So this whole forgive and forget thing that people throw at you, whether it's a Pollyanna person or a Pollyanna Christian or whatever, oh, just forget and forget, rah, rah, rah. It's completely denying your emotions. It's completely denying yourself the healing that needs to happen. And it's the healing that needs to happen first before you can forgive and forget. So this is why sometimes, you see it in movies a lot where a woman is like, I just can't be around you. I have to process this. I need time, because she needs to learn. She needs to heal this first before she can forgive. And it makes a lot of sense now. So it's about the emotional healing that needs to happen first. And that is the appropriate and proper and healthy way to go about it. So what I'm saying is, it's okay to be angry at someone. It's okay to not forgive them right away. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to not forget. In fact, you're not going to forget until you learn the learning which allows you to heal and release and let go of the emotions. Isn't that awesome? That sets you free too. So next time you're a Pollyanna, positive thinking person, Christian or whatever goes, you just got to forgive. The Lord says you just got to forgive and forget. They literally don't understand what they're talking about, and they should shut their trap and they should start to listen and learn. And I will tell you, the odds are that person that's telling you to just forget it and forgive, they're probably a narcissist. There's like a 50+% chance, because like, who says that? Like, what person who has an open, compassionate, caring heart looks at their friend and goes, you just gotta forget, just get over it. That is a very uncaring person, and it's someone who's probably not connected to their heart, who doesn't understand. Like, just because you try to hide this stuff and block and push it down, it doesn't mean it goes away. It doesn't mean suddenly you don't have to deal with it. It's just going to keep coming up. So in the song, it's she's saying, Adelaide in the song, let's see, what is it? Reminiscing. She sings that memories keep chasing me. Now do you understand why? Is because you have to learn, and that's like memories. Like, this is why you keep having memories coming up from childhood or high school, or you're 21 years old, and like, why does it keep coming up? Because it's trying to show you something. It's trying to show you something to learn, and once you take on the learning, you can heal from it, and those memories will let go. And not only, but the emotion and the light, etc. And I don't mean that in like a bad way, but it's like it's just going to be a memory. It's just going to be history. That's all it is. Like World War I, it's over with. It's okay. Like the Civil War, or like the Roman Greek Wars. Like, yeah, it was a horrible thing, but it's over with. So then she sings, they say to forgive and forget. Sorry, I'm playing. So they say to forgive and forget, but there's no coming back from this. And then she says, some see a demolition, like destruction, but I see a lesson learned. I've learned. She goes on to say, memories are poison and the cure, but they cannot hurt me anymore. Once you heal them, they can't hurt you anymore. Now here's the thing I want to say. when she says there's no coming back from this. So this is another part that is misunderstood. I would really say by the majority of Christians, 80+%. So number one, it's never meant to be like just get over it, do it right now, just forgive and forget. That's what God says. So number one, it's not some quick thing that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to let it take on its natural course, which is a process which will take time. Number two, there's no coming back from this. So there's a difference between a friend genuinely making a mistake, okay, versus a demon, versus a narcissist coming after you, setting you up, talking behind your back, trying to ruin your finances, ruin your family, ruin your marriage, ruin your relationship with your friends, ruin your life, destroy your self-esteem. So there's a complete difference between someone planning and coming after you and hurting you on purpose in a bad way versus a friend you've known for years who made a frickin' mistake. Now, if that friend keeps making the same mistake or makes multiple mistakes and nothing changes, they're probably a narcissist, and either way, get away from them. So people who have purposely harmed you and damaged you and that was their goal, it's like, no, there's no coming back from this. Period. End of sentence. We're done. So even when you heal from it, it doesn't mean that you have to forget what they do. What you really need to remember is this is who they are. I mean, you can forgive it. You can let go of the emotions once you heal it, and that's good. That's fine. That's very healthy. But it's not a matter of like remembering what that they did, that 1, 2, 3, or 10 or 50 things. It's realizing, oh, this is just who they are. And a lot of times that's really what the learning is. So that's it. That's your forgive and forget. It takes time. It's a process. It was never meant to happen overnight, okay? When you take on the learning, you'll feel the emotions heal. And you may go through a process of crying, of mourning. You know, it may take weeks, even months. And it might just be an aha moment of, oh, and sometimes it can be this ridiculous little thing, and then all of a sudden the emotions release, and you're like, boom, it's just like this really smooth process. A lot of times it's a belief. So it could be a negative belief someone put on you, taught you, lied to you about, and when you see things clear, all of a sudden you're like, wow, that is just not a good belief, etc. So a lot of people will say, oh, well, these are demons, you know, like your memories that keep coming up. They're not demons, they're just memories that need to be healed. So if you got memories and issues coming up and repeating, it's time to start healing them. And a lot of times these Pollyanna, maybe well-meaning, but probably narcissistic people, they will say, oh, well, this is sin and you're a sinner and you're not worthy because you have all these issues and stuff and blah, blah. And here's the deal. A lot of these issues were actually cast upon you. People threw them and convinced you. And this is what they will do because here's what it is. It's not even yours. It's their stuff. It's their memories. It's their issues. And they will, like, when someone, when I did a lot of NLP therapy, healing, energy healing, emotional healing, every now and then somebody would just come up, or I'd meet someone, and they'd just throw something on me that is the complete opposite of what everyone's ever said about me in my entire life. I'm like, okay, so 10,000 people have said this for the last 15 years of my life, but you're coming along saying the complete opposite. Who am I going to believe? Yeah, probably them. But here's the deal. Neither one of them is right. So what I realized is when this happened, and it kept happening for a period of my life, it's because I had healed some of my issues. I would just look at this person with an objective thing and be like, oh, this is them. Oh, they're talking about themselves. You have to remember, people are projecting all the time. Unconscious people that do not meditate, that do not practice healing, that have no idea what projection truly is, they just project all over the place, and then they get angry. It's like, well, it's just a projection reflecting back to them of who they are. And it's also narcissists not wanting to take responsibility and heal their own issues. See, their whole thing is like, well, no, it's not me because I'm perfect, because if I'm not perfect, then I'm a bad person, and then I'm not good, and then I can't accept myself. So, well, it's you. And so they start projecting all this shit on you. Like, what is this? Like, I never heard this before. In other words, some wildly, radically, completely different issue would pop up, and you're like, what? Okay, I got another way. This is when I really... Now, they taught this during the NLP training, so like, look, here's what's going to happen. Now, when they first said it, I just kind of blew it off. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, yeah, okay. So here's what they said. They said, look, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get one client, and they're going to project their issues onto you. And from their heart of hearts, they're like, it's you. And so then what happens? You get another client a week later, a month later, or whatever, and they'll say the complete opposite of this person. Oh, you're too nice. The first person, no, you're not nice. The second person, oh, you're too nice. And here's what they said. They say, look, this will mess with your head because one person's saying you're a bad person. The other one's saying you're too nice. The complete opposite. One person will say this and then that. And it'll make your brain ping pong for a while until you really kind of center and ground yourself. And so that's a really big part of healing people and doing therapy with people. So sure enough, those first couple years, it was difficult. It was just like, because they were so congruent, and it was like, oh, I didn't know that, and so it kind of messes with your head. But here's the really cool and interesting thing. You can use what they give you. So number one, you realize like, oh, this is one of their issues. So boom, you found it. And then number two, what you can do, you can take yourself through the healing process while they're listening and watching this, and it will heal their part. Kind of sneaky, but in a really good way though. Now here's the deal. This is essentially the same thing that you guys have been dealing with if you're an empath with narcissists your entire life. So one of the things I left out that I almost forgot to tell you was they'll come in and they will say, oh, my ex or my wife or my family or whatever, and they'll tell you what their issues are. And so they start to kind of bubble, oh, okay. And then a couple weeks later, maybe a month or more, or a few sessions later, they start to project it onto you. And now I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but it's actually a good learning thing, is they are adamant that it's you. So now it's you. So what ended up happening with me was I really went, oh, okay. I really began to see this projection. So it's one thing to hear about what projection is. It's another thing to get really, really clear, crisp clear on, oh, I see. So this is projection. And it became really clear because they came in with 1, 2, or 3 issues, and all of a sudden I was the one that was doing it. Or at least in their mind, I should say, they're all of a sudden projecting it onto me. So that was for me, a really good, healthy learning. Oh, I see how this works. So then in my daily, call it normal life outside of work, when somebody would try to do this to me, I would just look at them and be like, well, didn't you say that your brother did this and your mom and your sister and, 10 other freaking people? And they're like, yeah, so, and see, okay, another way is when someone says, everyone is like this, everyone, etc., right? Well, this is an issue or an energy or what we would call a charge. See, here's the deal. Remember how I keep saying, you really need to learn how to become like this, self-loving being, because when you become more and more self-loving, you begin to grow and develop this charge around you of this energy of love. And people will connect with it, and it's like when you go into a pool of warm water, you feel warmth. If you go into a pool of cold water, you feel cold, right? So when you get around someone who has scattered energy, you get scattered. When you go around someone who's angry, you feel angry. Whatever. So when you go around someone who has this very grounded, self-healing, loving, compassionate energy, they'll start to go into that themselves. They'll take on the feeling of love and compassion, etc., and they'll interact that way with you. See, this is why, okay. Have you ever said, why does everyone treat so-and-so so well and so, kind or so kid gloves with them, whereas with me, people just yell at me and scream at me and, or whatever, or accuse me or shame me. It's because you're carrying that energy. that's what causes it, whereas that other person is carrying this other energy. So are you starting to understand how this works? Okay, this is why healing and self-love is so important, because the more you heal yourself, the better people start to treat you. And part of healing is also a lot of it is realizing the difference between their issues and who you are. So number one, I hoped you learned that forgive and forget is not an instantaneous thing that's supposed to happen. Okay, that was never the way it was meant to happen. It is a process, and it takes time. And number two, sometimes there's no coming back from someone, something that someone did to you. It's like, hey, this is just who they are, and move on. And the second part of this video about projection, people saying you're this and that, it's a very, I'm not necessarily saying only narcissists do this, but it's a very much a very narcissistic thing for someone to do to you, to take their issue out on you. It really just means they haven't looked inside. They haven't looked at themselves and connected with themselves. Instead, they're running around not dealing with their issues and throwing them out on the next best thing. And this is what people who are saying you're a sinner and you're this, they're throwing their belief of who they are onto you. Don't accept it. Literally say return to sender, return to sender, return to sender, and imagine it going back to them. Number one, because it really is their issue in the first place. And number two, they're the ones who are supposed to learn from it. Otherwise, they're never going to let go, because it never truly leaves them. That is just an imaginary illusion for a narcissist or even just a regular person to think, well, I'm just going to project this, even if they're not conscious of it. Because on some level, their brain, they know that it's their stuff. They're very aware of it. And they also know that they're projecting it onto you. They just don't want to admit it. They don't want to be truthful. And this is literally lack of responsibility. Like I said in the last video, responsibility is the ability to respond, which means you have power. And in this case, power to heal. Alright, that's it for this video. God bless you guys. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this video opened your eyes to some degree and hopefully helped you learn some things to help you overcome some stuff. And remember, I am a professionally trained personal development coach, emotional healer, energy healer, life coach. I mean, I can go on. NLP trainer, master hypnotherapist, etc. So therapy, and energy healing, and emotional healing are my profession. If you need help, I definitely have sessions. There's some space open this week and next week. Just get a hold of me. My phone numbers. You can either go to my website at mikekollin.com, or you can go to the bottom, the right will be my phone number, or you can go into my YouTube channel and you'll find my number there, or my email. Alright guys, God bless you. Remember, click the like button, click subscribe, click the all bell too. Make sure you do that. And if you want, go ahead and make a comment and go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there if you want to make a $5, $10, $15 donation. Alright, God bless you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.